Henry Cejudo, aka Triple C, is a divisive name in the world of MMA, and his over-the-top personality may make you doubt his ability in the cage as a mixed martial artist. In this video, we'll be exploring how good Henry Cejudo really is and whether his skill set can cash checks his audacious personality rides. And you're going to want to wait to the end of this video to find out what incredible accolade only Henry Cejudo has been able to accomplish in the world of not only MMA, but in combat sports. Triple C has had a career which many would consider to be one of the best among the lighter weight divisions in the UFC. From double champ status to beating one who many consider to be the pound for pound greatest fighter to ever live. Henry Cejudo's legendary career in the UFC would begin in December 2014 when he would win his debut against Dustin Kimura by unanimous decision. Henry would go on a further 3-fight winning streak, all by decision, which would take him all the way to a title fight with then flyweight champion of the world, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, after less than 2 years in the promotion. Early on in the first round, Henry looked dominant, taking the center of the cage and even landing a takedown. Mighty Mouse would get back onto his feet quickly, following with a clinch, landing numerous knees to both head and the body, wobbling Cejudo until a final knee to the body would knock Cejudo down, where Mighty Mouse would finish the fight, landing the final blows on Cejudo before the referee stepped in to call the fight. Henry Cejudo had faced his first loss in his MMA career by brutal knockout. Many, however, saw an opportunity for growth in then the young Cejudo. After all, his loss was to the current #1 ranked pound-for-pound fighter in the world at the time. After his devastating loss, Cejudo would look to bounce back, and it would take place after being rival coaches on season 24 of The Ultimate Fighter against Joseph Benavidez. The close fight between the two after 3 rounds saw Cejudo have the advantage of strikes landed to the body, and Benavidez with strikes to the head. Cejudo ended up losing a split decision after having a point deducted for repeated low blows on Benavidez. Now having 2 consecutive losses in a row, the pressure was on for Cejudo. His opponent for the next bout would be Wilson Hayes, and it would be his best performance in the UFC yet. Cejudo walking down Hayes since the bell rang, landing heavy blows and multiple takedowns until early in the second round he would drop Hayes with a right hand, landing a few more blows until the referee would step in. After the best performance of his career, Cejudo was set to fight again only 2 months later, and this time his opponent would be Sergio Pettis. And once again, Cejudo put on a great performance, dominating Pettis for all 3 rounds with his world-class wrestling and going on to win the fight by unanimous decision, earning him a long-awaited rematch and a title shot against one of the greatest fighters to ever step foot in the cage. On August the 4th in 2018, Johnson vs Cejudo 2 was set to take place, and it would be one of the most controversial fights in UFC history, as both men put on stellar performances. The fight would go a full 5 rounds, Cejudo showcasing his incredible wrestling and Mighty Mouse his incredible striking. Cejudo would have significant control time over Mighty Mouse throughout the 5 rounds. Mighty Mouse would land 120 compared to Cejudo's 80. Cejudo, however, landing more strikes to the head than Mighty Mouse. The split decision would go to Cejudo, causing a lot of controversy, with many believing Mighty Mouse should have won. Despite that, it was a close fight, with many believing Cejudo deserved to win. And after ending Mighty Mouse's 13-fight win streak and 12-fight title defense streak, it was clear that Henry Cejudo had evolved as a fighter. Cejudo, now flyweight champion of the world, was set to defend his belt in January of 2019 against TJ Dillashaw, the current bantamweight champion at the time. And only 30 seconds into the first round, he would knock out Dillashaw in spectacular fashion, relentlessly throwing heavy blows until the referee was forced to step in and call the fight. Shortly after, TJ would be suspended for usage of performance-enhancing drugs and lose his bantamweight belt, prompting Henry to move up a weight division to face Marlon Moraes for the vacant belt. Unsurprisingly, Cejudo put on another great performance, and after a difficult first round, Cejudo would find success in clinching eventually in the third, landing a takedown and raining ground and pound until the fight was called. Cejudo became the 9th fighter ever to hold 2 UFC belts simultaneously and was cementing himself as one of the best fighters to step foot in the cage. His last opponent before his retirement would be Dominic Cruz, and it would be to defend his bantamweight title after Cejudo decided to vacate his flyweight belt. Cejudo, unsurprisingly, would pressure Cruz with his strikes, both landing heavy blows, and where a head collision caused a cut on Cejudo to open up on his forehead. However, after being cleared to continue, Cejudo would go on to knock down Cruz with a knee, following up with strikes, until the referee stepped in with only 3 seconds left on the clock in the third round. The stoppage would be controversial as many believed it to be early, Cruz criticising the ref after. Controversy aside, Cejudo had now defended his bantamweight title, and it would end up being his last fight to this day. Before we put into perspective how incredible of a career Henry Cejudo had accomplished, you're gonna want to make sure you comment I sub below to be in with a chance of winning our monthly shout out. So how good is Henry? One of the greatest ever to step in the cage in the lighter weight division, not only in mixed martial arts, but in combat sports in general. And to answer the question as to what only Cejudo has accomplished, Henry Cejudo is the only fighter to achieve both an Olympic gold medal and a UFC title. Not to mention Cejudo won a title in 2 different weight divisions, as many Olympians in combat sport have made their way into the UFC. None have won both the Olympic gold and have gone on further to win a UFC belt other than Triple C. Before ever stepping foot in a cage, Cejudo was a world-class freestyle wrestler, holding both national and international accolades. The greatest, of course, being his gold medal in the men's 55 kilo freestyle at the 2008 Beijing Summer Olympics. Henry Cejudo has been itching to get back in the fight game since his early retirement, and on May 6, he is set to face current bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling. Let us know your thoughts as to who you think is going to win in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.